Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 282 of the RRBG podcast. This episode is also brought to you by Killcliff. My friends over at Killcliff make the best energy drink you can buy in the market today. Clean energy, none of that crap that they put in Monster or any of those Red Bulls. No sugar, just clean power for all the grind you're going to have to put in today. And if you're not grinding today and you just want to relax, they also have CBD drinks to help you recover from any injuries you may have, any kind of inflammation. Maybe you went a little too hard at the gym. CBD drink will get you right back on track. Go to their website, killcliff.com. Check out all their different flavors. My personal favorite Ignite drink is the Cherry Limeade. And in the CBD category, you have to try the Joe Rogan Special. It's the Flaming Joe Pineapple with Jalapeno. It's not that spicy. You just get a little bit of a kick at the end. It's delicious. Go to killcliff.com and tell them that RRBG sent you. This episode is also brought to you by our good friends at Saints Joints. Go to saintsjoints.com to check out all the options that they have. They have these amazing packages with pre-roll joints, which will have pre-rolls from either side of the strain spectrum, either indica or sativa, and they even have multi-strain collections. Pick up one of their amazing Book of Saints. They currently have 2 volumes, volume 2 being a special Halloween edition. It looks like the Necronomicon. It's amazing. They're currently available in Washington and Oregon and will soon be available in California. Go to saintsjoints.com and tell them that RRBG sent you. This episode is also brought to you by our friends at Thunderking Coffee. Thunderking provides organic, air-roasted coffee straight out of Costa Mesa, California. It's seriously some of the best coffee I've ever had. My personal favorite is the Positive Morning Attitude. I order 2 pounds of this almost every 2 weeks because I just can't get enough. But they also have bottled cold brew. They have their special California Christmas peppermint cold brew out right now. You can order it from their website. So go to thunderkingcoffee.com and check it out. Support small, independent businesses, people. In this episode, it's the return of Chris Enriquez. My homie has a new solo project out right now called Light Tower. Go check it out. He's got 3 songs. They're all fantastic. We talk about that album. We talk about mental health a little bit. We talked about drug use in the music community. We talked about DIY. A lot of important things. I had a great time, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Please make sure to check out Light Tower. Follow Chris Enriquez at Chris Enriquez Drums on all the socials. Please click subscribe. Hit the little bell so you get notifications when we have new episodes. And if you get a chance, check out our Patreon page. You're making the show better. Patreon.com/RRBG, where you can support the podcast and help me get this new lighting rig and more things to make the show look nicer. Cheers. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the RRBG podcast. First episode here with the new setup, and what better guest to bring in than my homie, Mr. Chris Enriquez.
What up, yo, Eddie? I love talking to you on and off camera, so I was looking forward to this. I hope you're doing great.
I'm good, man. As I told you, I'm a little hungover. I've been in a celebratory mood. Things are good, and things are good for you as well. The album, the EP, right? It's an EP.
That's correct. Yeah,
the EP's killer, dude. It's it gives me Failure vibes, but also something new, and like it's new and fresh, but also feels nostalgic to me, like 90s ish. And I know you're a big fan, of the 90s stuff.
I mean, it's more so just because of the age. I feel like if anybody grew up in the 60s and was in bands, they probably have a hard time shaking that off, even 20, 30 years later. So I just sort of embrace where we all come from. And I think you and I have that kind of similar thing because we're from the same era. So if I sound anything like that, it's just because I can't help it.
Yeah. It's the same era. I was born in New Jersey. I spent a lot of time in New York and New Jersey, which is your home. And, We recently hung out there. It was very interesting.
I mean, interesting only because I think we got to see some characters. Like, how many times have you gone to New York and can say that you spent like within a short time frame hung out with Vinny Stigma, and then fucking went to a party with Jesse Leach, and I think that we were also with some other characters. It was quite a afternoon, to say the least.
Man. Yeah. I haven't really talked about this on the show, but yeah, I flew out to New York. Jesse Leach invited me out and Matt Stocks to do the Stoke the Fire. Jesus Christ. Light the Torch is the band. Stoke the Fire podcast. And, I got to speak, which was really interesting to just get up there and talk a little bit. But it was a fun time. Ran into you, and then afterwards I started drinking, and I hadn't eaten anything. And Chris was like, "Let me get you a whiskey drink." And I'm like, "Sure, yeah, that sounds great."
Oh, God.
And I chugged like, I don't know, it was a half a glass. It had to have been like 3 shots. She just went like this and poured. Didn't really measure anything.
If it makes you feel any better, and I'm going to get in trouble because I just played my first show last week, and what happened to you happened to me.
Oh, no way.
I got off stage for the same reasons, because I didn't eat, and I took a shot of whiskey, and it went into the wrong tube. And it was even more embarrassing because Walter from Quicksand was standing next to me, and so was a lot of people that I really respect and adore and look up to. And my girlfriend was there, and she just moved in, and she said to me, I think you blacked out after your set. And I just was on cloud 9. It was such a good show. And I'm not taking shots for a while. I actually was sober for about 4 years, just because I needed a break from other things in my life. And I don't want to concern anybody. I'm not going off the rails here, but we were just having too much of a good time on that particular evening. And we bounced back, and we had some pizza, you and I. And, sometimes that shit happens.
Dude, I threw up in the middle of the street in front of like Niagara. Punk rock as fuck.
Dude, we went into Niagara for all of 2 minutes so I could show you the plaque of the New York hardcore bands that came up there. We took a shot, and you threw up in the street before we walked into Stromboli's Pizza. Dude,
I don't throw up. I don't know if you know what a big deal that was, because honestly, I don't. It's, as a rock and roll beer guy, I pride myself in never drinking to the point of vomiting. I hate the activity. I hate the way it makes me feel. It hurts. But it was almost instant. Like, there was no prep time. I walked outside. I'm like, man, I don't feel good. Bah! Oh my God. It was almost immediate. There was no prep. Usually I could feel it, or I'm like hovering over the toilet, like, ooh.
Dude, you were definitely a rock and roll beer guy that day.
Just wiped it off, like, all right, pizza.
Dude, you were a pro. You acted like nothing happened, and that we were just gonna totally disregard and go. And I was all right, fuck it, let's go. I'm down. Oh my Lord.
But dude, I appreciate that trip so much with you, because I like traveling, and I can handle myself on my own if I have to. Like, if I go to a new city and I want to just go check stuff out and nobody wants to come along, I'm going. But it's so much better when you have a friend there, and you were that, man. You were a friendly face. The second I saw you, I'm like, yes, I'm not here alone. You know what I mean?
I feel like that with you too. Whenever I see you, I mean, the first time I met, I think you remind me of all my friends at home. So it might be just that kinship where I'm just like, oh, me and this dude are gonna be bros.
But dude, so tell me about the show. You know, you were celebrating, and as we do, it feels like we are doing a lot of celebrating these days. I feel people are getting over this 2-year panic attack that we all had together. Because last time I spoke to you, you were sober, and then
yeah. I mean, I'm not weird about talking about that either, but I just but to answer your first question, like the Light Tower project started during the pandemic, and I was going to call it Chris Enriquez, because it is just me playing, and I'm singing, and I wrote everything. For the most part, I had some outside help, but for the most part, it's me. And I spoke with Iodine Recordings, who is a great label run by Casey Iodine and Joe Grillo. Those guys have been doing it for a while and doing a lot of like post-hardcore and reissues by bands from back in the day, as well as sort of like ex-member type groups that kind of fit into my world. So they just felt like marketing something under a solo name could be challenging. So I called it Light Tower so that it would appear to be a band. And I put together an EP, released it last week. It's 3 songs. And I put out a music video for the lead single, When the Mask Drops. And I played my first show last week with Chamberlain at Knitting Factory. And it was really cool to just get that out of my sort of bucket list. I never really actually thought that I would, follow through as a front person and get up and do the thing. So it was very strange, but also really exciting. No one fell off stage. No one totally fucked up. I think people liked it.
Well, dude, I mean, it's got to be nerve-wracking a little bit. I mean, I wanted to just ask you how it felt, because being a drummer, I mean, that's as far back in the mix as in terms of presence to the audience. You know what I mean? Like, you're in the back most of the time. Yeah. To go from that to frontman, it's a big leap. You know what I mean? So was it challenging at all, or did it feel kind of like you just got in the zone? And
I think I felt like I just got in the zone. I think that I knew, like, I was nervous, but for the reasons that you just said, naturally, just like any human being, I'm sure, like, is going to have some nerves when you're standing up in front of an audience and you have a microphone, especially if you're singing and entertaining people. But I had played shows so much, and I felt like very quickly I just felt like I was playing drums again, just because it was kind of like the same idea, right? I'm like trying to put something out there for people to check out and performing. And at a certain point, it just felt the same, oddly. But I was also just trying to not think so much outside of the fact that I was just playing songs that I really wanted to get out there. And it felt really good to do that.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah. I mean, I've had the feeling of wanting to do a solo project for many years, and I've done little cover songs here and there, but I've never followed through. It's way too much commitment. And to be able to, it's an achievement what you've done to be able to do that, to come up with songs, multiple songs, and then go play a show. Like that's great. I'm really happy for you, dude.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I don't think it would have happened if I wasn't stuck at home like the rest of the world. I think that's what really pushed it. I felt like I had too much time on my hands. And I figured, why not put some use to this? Instead of kind of freaking out, I can, sit on my couch with the guitar and, turn on the GarageBand, figure out how to use it.
Yeah. So you did, so the video you put out, I believe, was it Lamacchia did it?
Yes. So John Lamacchia from Candiria, who's a dear friend, as well as a very awesome artist that I manage now. He is such a great creative force, and he has video skills and audio engineering skills. So he actually co-produced and engineered the record, and he also shot and filmed the music video as well.
Very cool, man.
Yeah,
it came out great. And so you're singing and playing guitar at the same time, right?
Yeah, so I'm singing and playing guitar. The only other person that played on it is my friend Justin Williams, who plays in a band called Gracer, played keyboards, but I played drums, bass, guitars, and all the vocals.
Well, I meant live, like you're not pulling a Phil Collins playing drums and singing.
I definitely don't think. I mean, hey, you never know, but that was not on my mind. I don't think that I considered that.
So who's playing with you live?
So my drummer is this awesome dude named Jason Crawford, and he was in a band called Drift Off. I think they're still active, but Drift Off is a great band that has members of, I believe, they were like ex-members of Junius and current members of Psalm. I don't know if you know those bands, but he's the drummer. Justin Williams from this band Gracer, who is on Revelation. I don't know if you guys ever heard them, but he plays keys. And my friend Josh, who is the lead guitar player and singer of Fashion Week, a really great noise rock band in New York, is the lead guitarist. And then my friend Craig is on bass, and he owns a fantastic school for kids that teaches how to play music in Williamsburg called the Williamsburg School of Music.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so just a collection of fellas that I came up with.
Very cool, very cool. So, I mean, you're the busiest man I know in terms of being in different bands and also working for, you know, a full-time type of job and working for Revolver. And it's like, how do you keep all that like lined up? And, you know, where does this project fall in terms of priority now for you amongst, you know, the other projects?
I mean, so right now, you know, Spotlights is my main band, and we are about to go on tour, and that's in about a week or so that we're gonna do a 2-week tour in the U.S. And then we're working on new material, which we already started working on. So we're kind of taking a hiatus to kind of figure out the next album, and that's really kind of it for Spotlights. The biggest priority right now outside of that is that Sergio Vega, who I think by now everyone knows that he just left Deftones.
Something happened?
Yeah.
Something happened with the Deftones? No way.
I love Deftones. You and I met at Deftones for the first time after having spoken for a little bit on the net, on the web. But Sergio is an old friend of mine that I've known prior to him joining Deftones, and he called me when the band and him had parted ways, like before it was made public, and we teamed up. I know he's been sort of telling people about this, so I'm kind of at liberty to mention it here, but like he had a great idea about wanting to form a songwriting production team. That's like a huge thing for me right now, and like something I see taking up a lot of my time and energy, because I think that we want to get behind the scenes a little bit more, especially like as we're getting older, you know, not that I have any plans of slowing down, but how do we age and stay active without having to do it with a band and touring and all that? Well, we figured if we are writing and producing for other artists, you know, we can kind of put our stamp on music and also make a somewhat of a, you know, some income, you know, as something that we do as part of our living doing this, you know. So we have a track that is a collaboration with Keith Buckley. That's the first thing that we're going to be putting out. And it sounds awesome. We just started sort of like sending shit around, and, you know, we're hoping to finish that quite soon so that we can put that out. And then there's like other vocalists that other people will know about soon, because it's people that everyone will have heard of. That's without a doubt, but it's kind of like kept under wraps until this Keith track gets out into the world. I think we'll start slowly putting out the other songs, and they're going to be rolled out as singles. So it's not a band. The idea is that we have a single with Keith, we have a single with another person, so forth. And slowly down the line, I think, you know, we want people to sort of realize that we're kind of no different than what NERD might be doing, like the hip hop space, where it's like, you know, or the Roots or something. It's just something that doesn't really happen as much in our space. So we found like an opportunity where, as multi-instrumentalists, Sergio and I are playing and writing all of the instruments, you know, mostly him on the stringed instruments, and then I'm handling the drums and stuff. But we both are able to sort of record in a studio together and bounce off of each other, and it's really cool.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That's the kind of ideas that are being spawned due to the pandemic. Like you see stuff like those cover songs that 2 Minutes to Late Night was doing.
Absolutely.
You know, that's an idea that makes perfect sense when you hear it, but no one had pulled it off to that degree anyway. And the same goes for this. Like this sounds like it should be a thing, and it's not, and you guys are doing it. That's awesome.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, rock music is so strange. I feel like, you know, there are ghostwriters and producers that we all are aware of, but I think that in hip hop or pop music, there's a lot more, like the Wrecking Crew, right? That was like, I don't know if you remember the Wrecking Crew, but they did all the shit back in the 60s where they wrote and performed on, you know, everything from like Beach Boys to, you know, I feel like Elvis even, you know, and so we're kind of trying to take that idea where, you know, a guy that was in Deftones and Quicksand and myself, who's not as necessarily well known as he is, but if anyone is trying to dabble in something and they feel like they want people that have been around that have sort of produced this kind of shit, you know, we're more than happy to work with people that are looking to kind of accomplish a certain vibe that we can provide, you know.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah. I love it. I love the idea. And yeah, I mean, that does sound like that would take precedence over any, like if you're doing solo stuff, you know what I mean? Like if
yeah, the solo stuff is, I mean, the solo stuff is important, but I think that to me, it's almost like, I want to see where it goes. And if people are into it, then I've kind of set my life up where I can commit to it more if people actually want to, you know. So it's so early in the process. I think that like I feel like it's hard to tell if like people are like interested enough for me to go out on the road and open up for somebody. If I get opportunity like that, I would do it in a heartbeat. But I'm kind of like letting it happen organically without you know, trying to punish people with it. You know, I just don't want to be that guy that's like, it was more just for me. I needed to get it out, and if you know, if there's demand for it, I will absolutely commit more time to it.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's how all things are. And it's also going to help you creatively. I think it's once you're in that flow, you're in there and you're working with multiple people in and out, it's going to start making your brain pop new ideas as well that could go for the solo stuff, you know?
Totally, dude. You're a musician. So, you know, I didn't know that until we hung out that you were a lead singer. And I feel like inspiration sometimes can come from different places. Right now, I just feel like working with so many different people is just amazing because, like, when I talk to Sergio and Keith, for example, versus when I talk to like Mario or Sarah or just internally with my own projects, like it's so funny that what might seem logical to you when you're writing music isn't always the same as what other groups or other people think. So I feel very fortunate that all these outside sort of things are now kind of impacting how I approach music as a songwriter. And I think before that, you know, it's sort of like most people just write what comes to them. And I didn't necessarily want a band where I could have collaborative efforts in this situation, but I definitely take inspiration from seeing other people's approaches and how they piece things together, whether there's formulas or not formulas and all that sort of thing, you know?
Yeah, it's putting in the work. And it goes for anything you want to do. Like even with this podcast, like, you know, it took me 6 years to get to this pretty lighting that we have here. It's not that complicated. It's just me. It took me 6 years to figure out how to just do it myself. Fuck it. I'm not going to, you know what I mean?
And now you get flown out to New York City to talk about it on a live podcast with Vinny Stigma.
Actually, I was texting Vinny. He gave me his number. Now we're friends. It's like, what? What?
That's amazing. I love that, man. I just saw him last Sunday. I filled in on drums for Burn, and we played with Cro-Mags, Madball, and Murphy's Law, and Stigma was, I think he was either on stage or like by the stage, but it was right next to Niagara.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, there's such a cool vibe of that, like DIY mentality in New York that's missing here in LA. In LA, it's more cutthroat, and there's no community aspect for it. You know, everybody's trying to step on each other on the way up.
Right? I mean? Yeah, that's such a weird concept. I think that it's probably that way in like other subcultures here for sure because it's New York. But I think that the hardcore scene is such a special thing still because it's like it's lifers. I mean, Vinny Stigma is still out and about and living here, and they're still playing shows, and young bands are playing shows that are kind of like from that family tree. So it's really fucking cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's awesome. So is there a plan to tour the Light Tower stuff? Is there a chance I'm going to see it in the West Coast? That's
absolutely. That's the idea. So I'm going to be doing some dates with Lumachia in the fall, and that's going to be on the East Coast. But my plan is to do like a fly-in on the West Coast at some point, maybe later in the fall. We're doing this first one in early fall, but I think that with like the situation of being able to go out to like, let's say like LA and then make a 4-day trip and do San Diego as well as some other sort of major cities is what we're going to be looking to do, as opposed to like doing the country. So that's kind of where my mind is at, is like, as opposed to getting in a van and losing a bunch of money and having to go through everything. I'd rather go to the Midwest or go to the West Coast, do 4 shows with friends that I know are going to be good, and then go home. You know what I mean? So rent some gear, rent a van. That's pretty much how I plan on covering different areas with this project.
Hell yeah. I mean, that's the way to do it. It's at our age, it's hard to get in a van and, you know, no showers, you know, shower at Walgreens and like.
Well, I mean, that's why it's good with Mario and Sarah, because like we have enough we have enough out there, and at the point where we know that when we book shows that it's not going to be like that, you know, like we're not like packing out rooms per se and selling out clubs every night, but at the same point in time, we're also only playing shows in places that we know we've played before, where we have a draw. And it's been like, I think 6 or 7 years now. So like, even though we do get in a van, we're not like clueless on like, oh man, this might be rough. Like, are 2 people show? It's never like that anymore.
You don't have a sign. You don't have a sign at your merch table that says "Need a place to crash."
No, never. I did that way too much 20 years ago, and I feel like that's part of punk rock. And if you don't do that first, then you'll never appreciate what you have now. But those days are not. I will fucking put my credit card down on a hotel, even if I am losing money, before I am fucking asking strangers if I could sleep on their fucking couch. And no disrespect, but I'm too old for that.
Yeah, you do get to that point in life where you don't want that life anymore. Same with like roommates. Like I'm at that point now. If you know, it's rent's getting higher, all that stuff. You know, the economy is whatever in trouble, but also I cannot live with another human being that's not my wife anymore.
Oh my God.
Never happening again.
Dude, I lived with a person that was a good friend of mine with my ex-girlfriend. And even that was kind of probably not the best thing to do, but yeah, not at our age. But yeah, I mean, like, hey, don't get me wrong. I got a couple homies who've put us up where they have a really nice house, and I'm all about that. But yeah, I'm not like fucking staying at punk houses anymore. I've done that. Enough in my life. I'm done with that.
The punk houses, those places are nuts. And a lot of people may not know what we're talking about because maybe they don't tour or whatever, but there are random ass houses in the middle of the country that people just stay at. And it's
dude, really I've done rough. It all. I've stayed in, really I was in a band that got, I was in a band called On the Might of Princes, and we got stranded in Twin Falls, Iowa, and stayed at a punk house for like 3 days with like, this place was like, these guys were like dreadlocks, fucking like lots of animals in the house, like multiple cats, multiple dogs, more than just that. Trailer in the back with a toddler.
Oh no!
And, like, people drinking 40s and smoking weed with the baby present, and just blasting Neurosis, like fucking like. It was a weird. So I mentioned a punk house, but like, you know, I don't know what everyone's definition of punk house. It was definitely like a squat, and there was definitely people that were not paying rent in there, and we had nowhere else to go. And we would do that in our 20s if we had to, but yeah, that's not happening today.
Okay, yeah, you try and tough it out, and like maybe I'll sleep in the car. You know, maybe I'll stay in the van or in the, you know, in the back of the pickup, wherever you're touring in. But boy, it's there's some rough spots out there. There's one in particular, I think, in Savannah, Georgia, that I've been to multiple times. That was a fun one.
And yeah, you're going to find some stuff. We did it once with Spotlights during our European tour, we played Romania, and we had to stay at this promoter's friend's house, and he kept calling her Walter White. And we didn't know why until we got there. And I think that she was a meth dealer, or there was something off, and we kind of had no choice. And we were in the middle of Romania. And so it's like, what do you do? So we slept there, and it was definitely strange. And I don't know how much I actually slept besides laying in this person's, like, one of the rooms that I was put in.
Yeah.
Like the promoter was like, have fun with Walter White. And we're like, all right, thanks.
I mean, I guess if that's what you're into, but
hey, man,
no, I'm not into that anymore.
There's a lot of bands out there that
ever. I meant ever. I'm just saying. Not anymore, ever. No, but yeah, going back to what that point is that as we get older and we work harder on our craft, you expect, sometimes people do it and they expect a certain level of success in it. But the success is being able to now live a life that is comfortable to you. And you're not doing that. You're not staying at the punk houses. So, that's how you should measure success, and not through like, oh, I don't have 1 million followers on Instagram.
Dude, I couldn't agree with you more. We're on the same page. Like, The thing that I think is so interesting about music is that I feel like people's expectation level is always, not always, but like oftentimes setting themselves up to fail. Because a lot of people, I think that you and I probably are similar. Like, I feel like we're lifers in the sense where, like, we're just doing what we enjoy. This is a pleasure to do this podcast and talk to each other about music. We're not taking time out of our day to do this because we don't like it, right? So, like, This is a success. Like, putting out a record is a success. Playing a show, if anyone goes there. Like, I talked about this with Mario and how we've been managing bands, and it's like, people seem to chase this dragon, which I think is like the major label and the tour bus and this and that. And it's like, you can do that. I think anybody could, like, make up their own idea of success. And if you want to be playing pop music and you're younger, then maybe American Idol is your route, but when you're playing niche rock music, like in the world that we live in, you kind of have to decide for yourself whether this is the life you want for yourself or not, because unless you're that rare scenario where you're like Def Heaven is nominated for a Grammy and High on Fire is winning, like, this is not the world where you're trying to come in here and fucking like be a pop star. That's not, I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying that because I talk to people and it just seems like some people have this idea, and if it doesn't happen, they're bummed. And it's like, dude, no, like, I've been doing this for a long time and I haven't stopped because this is fun. That's the dream right there. The dream is that this is fun,
Exactly. Have fun. That's the dream, because guess what? We're all going to die.
We're all going to die.
It's going to happen.
Yeah,
so
man.
Just have fun with it as much as you can, and try and do what makes you happy. I kept locking myself into jobs where I'm like sitting in an office. I'm like, what am I doing? I can't do this. This is not for me.
I'm going to die here. Like, I'm going to die here with a sick paycheck and 401k, but like, I will not have had the time to spend it and do anything meaningful except for the 3 weeks vacation time that you're going to let me fucking have,
PTO. Yay.
Yeah, exactly. And some people want that life and whatever. I know we're getting like philosophical here. It's hard not to sometimes, but I think that some of us, also aren't fortunate enough to do certain things. So, to each their own. But I just, like you, man, like, I did not want that life. I had a corporate job and I stopped. And I just want to make sure that whatever it is that I'm doing, that I actually think it's fun somehow, And you can make that happen. It really can. You just have to manifest it. You know what I mean?
Seriously.
And take time and be patient.
It sounds stupid, too, when you say that. Like, oh, you have to manifest it. Oh, yes, I'm going to use The Secret. Open up the book. I have the magnetic rock in my pocket. I do my chants that I do at night. No, it's not like that. It's more of just putting a goal for yourself.
That's all it is, dude.
An attainable goal. Nothing crazy that you like. Where's the end? Just give yourself a small goal.
Yeah.
And once you finish it, you're like, oh, I can do things. And
then it's like, if you want to fucking like, exactly, like the goals in life are just applicable to just about anything. Like if your boss asks you to accomplish something by a certain day, or you are an athlete and you want to fucking like accomplish something at a certain point in time for what it is that you're doing, like it's all the same shit. Like things don't magically appear, and manifesting it just means fucking like setting your fucking head straight so that you know what you're trying to do and being realistic about it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I'm ever going to be a millionaire doing any of the things that I'm doing, but I'd rather fucking make a modest living, you know, being able to wake up and say that whatever it is that I'm doing is something interesting versus getting paid a bunch of money to fucking hang out with some jerk offs in an office space that I don't ever want to fucking talk to about shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Dude, I can't even have conversations in those scenarios anymore. Like I just left an office job not that long ago, and I had my, you know, people that sit around me while I was at the office, and just they start talking, and immediately I'm just like, nah, I gotta get out. I gotta get out. I can't do this. Sorry, no, I can't change the channel. This is it.
Oh my God, that's so funny that you just said that, dude. I mean, like, we've all been there. Like, I used to go find. I was a sales guy at like a internet provider that like sold ads to like agencies that would be like, you know, IKEA, Bloomingdale's, whatever, just like big money corporations filtering into like this internet provider, this cable provider. It was a cable internet provider, but I would find like the one person bathroom and sit there and nap for a while. I would try to, or I would just like go for like the longest walk possible, or eat at a restaurant on my lunch break. Just like anything to fucking get me out of this place. And I'm like, how do people do this for 60 years? This is insane. I can't
Why? Do it. I'm not wired that way. I mean, some people are, like you said, but wow, you know, like the one rule they had at our place was you had a locker on the way in, and you have to put your phone in it. No phones at your desk, and it's like,
dude, so I want to tell you like about somebody that is so inspirational to me, because I feel like it kind of like ties into this. But Gavin Van Vleck, the guitar player for Burn, who I just played with, this motherfucker basically found an abandoned building. Talk about manifesting your life and becoming a successful human being. He found an abandoned building, squatted it, fucking took it over in 1989, brought in people that eventually, you know, they turned this building into a legitimate place. He still lives there today, and he is still playing in bands. He owns and runs a Muay Thai. Well, it's not Muay Thai. It's mixed martial arts. So it's like, you know, jiu-jitsu, all sorts of stuff. But like, this dude basically like manifested and achieved everything that I think he felt he could, you know, make into reality. And like, that's so inspirational to me. It's like, makes you feel like you have no excuse. Like, you don't have to fucking follow the rules of society. Like, this guy is like living proof of that. You know what I mean? And, you know, we all have our own goals and whatever, but I just thought it would be a cool transition to mention that, because I was just with him and he showed me his house and told me the backstory, and I was like blown away by what this guy was able to achieve, you know?
Yeah, there's people like that you meet that you have to hold on to that, and you don't even realize that you're learning, but you have to keep wanting to learn things from people like that, because they made it. They did the thing. So if that's what you want to do, you want to make the thing, you got to follow the people that are doing it. Yeah. Surround yourself with people that are actually successful at achieving their goals and dreams, because that's another problem. You stay around some people that you think are you know, good for you, and it's a toxic relationship and you don't even realize it. Like, you put yourself around successful people and you'll have no choice but to keep up. You know
that's good. That's good. Challenging people is awesome, and good people. Yeah. What a concept.
Yeah, we're crazy.
Maybe
if they taught this in school or something.
I got a lot of toxic people out of my life over the past few years. So, and it was such a funny thing because you don't realize that's a choice at a certain point. You're like, oh, maybe I cannot go to the same bar with the same people. And, that was kind of what we were talking about earlier, why I stopped drinking for a while, because it was also just, it wasn't so much alcoholism, which I know is controversial because everyone that's like sober and then not sober has this opinion on what that means. I thought that, that the company that I was with wasn't great. And so once I was able to sort of like assess that and just sort of like, change the surroundings, toxic stuff that you were just talking about, getting rid of that stuff. Well, then, I can totally hang out here and just have a nice glass of wine with my friend over dinner. That's not a profound thing for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's an easy thing for people. It sounds easy, but if you look at it in a way where acknowledge the stuff that makes you feel bad. Like when you wake up, do you feel like shit?
Right.
Maybe you should stop drinking if you feel like shit all the time. You know what I mean? And that happens to me too. I have to take breaks. Thankfully, I'm grateful that my body doesn't really get hooked on anything. I've done my fair share of things.
Same here. That was another. Couldn't do drugs anymore. Keep those away from me. I mean, weed is okay, but that doesn't really count.
Yeah. I'm grateful that I've never been, grabbed. I've never been down a hole, or anything. I mean, I've been homeless and whatnot, but not like that. Not like heroin or crystal meth or anything like that. Like,
no.
I've managed to stay away from all that, and it's easy to just get lost in that mentality. You wake up, you do your thing, your routine, and then at the end of the night, maybe you have a few beers, you have a few drinks, and then you wake up and you start feeling progressively worse and worse. Like, I have a headache. Oh, my neck is tight. Or, hey, my tummy's bothering me.
But then you're so loaded up that you just don't even.
Keep drinking. Let's just keep drinking. It'll numb the pain. That's the problem, though.
I think I think the reason why musicians and like people in entertainment fall into these traps also is because there's always like this unspoken element of living on the edge where you might not even realize that like you're kind of like walking on the edge of a building sometimes, and if you can get away with it and wake up the next day and you feel like you had a good time and nothing completely bad happened, no one fucking died, that you got away with something, and you're like this, like it's an exciting rush of a strange achievement. It's like I went out and did this and that and this and that, and I lived to tell the tale. But we're not immortal, we're not invincible. So at a certain point, you have to kind of be like, I still want to hang out with my friends, or I still want to be able to do that or do this. And, you're not going to be around to do that if you are doing coke every night for 20 years.
Especially out here in Los Angeles where people are dying because they keep lacing it with fentanyl.
They keep doing that here too. I mean, I know.
What are you guys even doing?
I know this is like kind of like, I'm not trying to make light of it, but like I often like said out loud in these conversations, like, I am so glad I tried doing drugs, or that I just did it before now. Like, people are trying it now and like not even living after the first try, this is not a good time to be experimenting with drugs, guys.
No, stick to some like regular ass weed. No one's ever died from smoking too much weed, unless they did something stupid after that. But I'm talking about the actual, like it's so weird that's. I remember. I think I've told this before on the podcast, but I was at a party once on a rooftop, and some dude came up to me and said some very long word. It was like, it sounded like medicine. You know what I mean? I don't remember the exact. It just sounded like medicine. I'm like, that's. And I asked him, what is that? And he's like, oh, it's that stuff all the rappers are dying from. And I looked at him, I'm like, and you want this because you want to die? He's like, no. I'm like, then why are you doing it?
Yeah, because they don't think about that. They don't think about that. They really don't. I mean,
all the stuff that rappers die from. You just said those words.
That's fucking strange. Yeah, it's like it's literally like, well, saying it out loud is extremely bizarre. But like, it's like, you know, somebody that voluntarily, it's, you know, sticking to talking about musicians, particularly, like, it's like, I'm going to do heroin even though that killed this person or that person.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you don't have to be a musician. We're all human beings, but I'm just saying, like, it's such a, there's certain things that enter our world because of the culture that surrounds it, where it's for some reason attractive or acceptable or whatever. And it's like, man, you know, you're no different from the guy that you just saw on the side of the corner that is on the ground right now. You know, like,
He's just a few days ahead of you. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Your physical makeup is not that different from that guy with the trail marks on his arm at the park. Like, don't think that you're not going to be that guy if you keep this up, you know?
It's nuts, dude. It's nuts. Are
we bumming people out right now?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think it's an interesting thing that people don't talk about. Like, they just ignore it. You just drive by the homeless dudes in LA. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it is here. People are just, oh, look at that, man. Wow, that's crazy. And encampment. Like,
no, I mean, you just said that you were homeless for a while, and I didn't want to pry about it. You know,
yeah, dude. I spent a few months on the road because, you know, situations. I've talked about it before, but I talked about it on Stoke the Fire. But it was basically, you know, my father removed me from the premises, and I had nowhere else to turn, so I went to the beach and just hung out at the beach for a while and slept in. I would sneak into the back of hotels to where the pool area was, and just chill on one of those recliner, you know, sunbather things, and just pass out there till somebody woke me up. And I'm like, all right, and then I just walk over to like Dunkin' Donuts. That was the moment I decided to turn my life around, was when I woke up in Dunkin' Donuts, surrounded by homeless dudes. I woke up and I just look around. There was a dude next to me, completely covered in shit, like just head to toe shit. And I was like, and I'm like, oh no, that's me. Fuck.
Well, I mean, doing? It does take sometimes, like, seeing, like, when I was down in the dumps because I was getting through a breakup and doing a lot of drugs and drinking a lot, and also like having the like just like the stuff that we were talking about before, like you're trying to cure something in a way that's not really, it's a temporary cure, and it's leading you down this path. Sometimes you have to like hear what other people are saying about you behind your back, or people that are brave enough to tell you to your face, or see someone else in the same room doing what you're doing, and then like what you just said, where you're just like, that's me. And then sometimes that's the wake up call, or unfortunately, you know, someone that gets taken from the earth, you know, like any of that stuff will certainly like set off a fire, and, you know, a fire under your
You mean
head.
like alien abductions? Person gets taken off the earth, like, no,
fire in the sky. We're not going to go.
Dude.
We're not going to go down that path. We can talk about aliens for hours.
No. But yeah, I think so. You mentioned that you know we're bumming people out. I don't think it should be. I mean,
no, I didn't mean it like that. I just
it's their perspective, obviously, but this should be taken with like, hey, look at the shit we've gone through, both of you and I. And look at where you're at. You're a successful musician right now. So
I mean, I appreciate that, and I will take that, just because, like I was saying earlier, like I've always felt that the measure of success is what you consider it to be, and if you're doing what you like and you're happy with it, then you should be living in the moment and see, like, you know, you don't need 1 million followers or 1 million streams to be successful. You know, if you are happy with what you're putting out. I just said this to a friend of mine yesterday, because in New York, it's very easy to get popular in New York if you have the right avenues. But then when you leave New York or any major city, you're just an average human being, and then your ego can kind of be checked when 2 people come see you play in Delaware, and you're like, oh, you know, I just played for 200 people the other day, and now there's 2 people. You know? So I was telling my buddy, like, if you have 200 fans in a particular area that you're from, you know, you use that as a place of like My point is like own it.
Get back there. Yeah.
Like own it and like fucking like and don't not appreciate it. Like those are the people that like what you are doing, and if you own it and just be happy that you have it at all, you know what I mean? So that's a measure of success to me. I appreciate you saying that, because it's you know, it's a weird, the music world is a weird one, and you know, it's a hustle.
It's a hustle, and it can be very unforgiving in certain areas. So,
yeah, for sure.
And the fact that you're doing it and you're putting out new music, and you know, you're even bigger projects in the future. Like, things are getting bigger and better. So it's a good time for Mr. Enriquez over here.
Oh, thank you, thank you, Senor Torres.
Latinos forever. Let's take over.
Maybe that's why we get along so well. I'm Filipino, so technically I'm a little bit of a Latino. And my best friend's name is Ralph Torres, and maybe you know, I said you remind me of my homies. So
well, there you go. You are definitely in the crew of the Latinos for sure. Especially you got the last name and you got the Filipino blood. That's fine. You're good.
My homie, my middle name is Armand, so there you go. Also got that too.
There you go.
Yeah. I sound like I could have been like a Ricky Martin. If I used my name, you could have put me in that section of the record store.
That's right. Be living la vida loca. But it's a whole different perspective of that storyline.
For sure.
Dude. So okay, the EP plans for vinyl.
What we're gonna do is basically like add more songs to the EP that's out on digital, and then that will ultimately be a physical full length down the line. So we did it this way to kind of test the waters. Like, we didn't want to go out assuming that, you know, we could just sell a couple hundred LPs or 7 inches in this case, because it's an EP right now. So now that there's, you know, it seems to be some interest, I think that like we may go and do 6 songs and add to it, and at some point, I don't know if it would be later this year or early next year, like it will eventually become a full length. So that's the idea.
Hell yeah. Good. I'm looking forward to more.
Thanks, brother.
Yes, and I want a vinyl. That's why I asked.
I got you.
I'm you know, I'm just, now that's my life now, and it's the worst hobby to have in California, because if there's an earthquake, I don't know what I'm going to do with my 400 records.
Oh my gosh! Well,
so stupid. What am I doing? Supporting music? How dare I?
How dare you have a hobby where you collect cool things that make you happy?
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah.
Oh man. But anyway, dude, thank you so much for you know, hanging out and helping me kick off the new setup here, and I'm stoked for your future. I'm stoked for this project you mentioned with Sergio. I think does it have a name?
Yes, but I think
you're not
Sergio,
revealing it yet.
Yeah, Sergio wants us to kind of have some anonymity with some of the stuff at the moment. So like, okay. I know that we hinted at like the idea of what we're doing, and the thing with Keith Buckley is public, but we're gonna roll out like the whole thing where it has a name and a place where you could find out who we're working with and hear the tracks, and there'll be music videos for the singles, and one of them is already done. So there's going to be a name for it. It like I said, it's not going to be different from like how the Roots or NERD have a name, or the Wrecking Crew. So we have our own sort of a name that we're going to be going by. Where when you go on Spotify, it'll say that name featuring Keith Buckley, or so and so featuring,
gotcha.
So forth and so on. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's awesome, dude. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Spotlights. I need to see you guys again. It's been too long.
Thanks. I'd love to hang out with you with Mario and Sarah next time we're on the West Coast. We'll make it happen.
Hell yeah. In the meantime, where can people pick up the EP or listen to the EP?
So if anybody is feeling generous and you want to buy it digitally, you can go to the Iodine Recordings Bandcamp, and it's available there for streaming and for digital purchase. I have some merchandise up there as well, and then it's on all streaming. So whatever you prefer, Spotify, Apple Music. It's all over the platform. So, I'm super pumped, and we're working on some more music videos and some like in studio sessions. So I'll be rolling out some cool things in the near future for people to check out.
Hell yeah. So please, yes, listen to the album, pick it up, buy it. It's 3 songs. It's not that expensive. You can afford it. It's less than Taco Bell right now. And you'll be supporting a musician and my buddy who's been kicking ass. So thank you so much for spending time here. And follow is it Chris Enriquez Drums? Is that at?
That's my personal, and you can find everything there because I just have it linked to like every single thing that I'm involved with up there.
You got a link tree.
I got a link tree. Yeah. I like what you said about Taco Bell. If it's cheaper than Taco Bell, and it won't make you feel like you're sick in the bathroom afterwards, unless you're weird and music makes you sick in the bathroom. I don't know.
It will not. You should put that on this. I'm gonna a quote. Yeah, it will not give you diarrhea.
And their fire sauce does not come with the record.
Yeah. Sorry, no extra record. But dude, thanks again, man. We'll hang out soon. I'm sure of it.
Much love to you, my friend.
Cheers.
Take care. I'll see you soon. Have a good one, man.
You too, brother.
Bye.